Returning to one of our top stories, Australians are being told to prepare for the worst bushfire season since the deadly Black Summer fires. Joining me now for more on this is former New South Wales Fire and Rescue Commissioner and now Climate Councillor Greg Mullins. Greg, it is a pleasure to talk to you, but we have been watching the Northern Hemisphere with extreme heat waves over their summer with great trepidation, in particular the devastation caused by wildfires, most recently in Hawaii as well. Is that what is on the way for us?
Well, look, hopefully not. We're definitely going into what will be an active fire season. There's dangers right across Queensland, big chunks of New South Wales, most of New South Wales, and also the Northern Territory for spring. But look, the fire authorities will be watching very nervously. The Bureau of Meteorology is saying that spring will be drier and warmer than average. So that will set the scene for summer. And those critical summer months, we could see a return to large fires. Will it be like Black Summer? We hope not. There should be lots of moisture still in the soil from 3 years of La Nina rains, which will stop the larger trees from dying off and being very flammable. But the shrub layer, the grass layers, we will get fires. So people need to be mindful that we will get bushfires this year. We've had 3 years of flooding rains that stopped a lot of hazard reduction burning. It's led to prolific growth, but we hope we don't get climate change driven events like multiple heat waves and what happened in Maui, a flash drought, that those very high temperatures leading to strong evaporation, then drought-like conditions, and then hurricane force winds driving fires like they've never seen before.
Yeah.
That can happen, but we're crossing our fingers that it doesn't.
Just having a look at the report, basically the areas of most concern are places that didn't burn in the 2019-2020 fires and areas that flooded in the past few years that have had a huge amount of rainfall that is now, some of which have dried out. Am I right in saying that? Is that a good assessment?
Yeah, that's a good assessment. So where those rains fell, we've had prolific growth of grasslands, often in areas that were too sparse to burn. For example, Western New South Wales to the west of Cobar, but lots of grass there now. I was out there recently. We're getting fires already in New South Wales in the northern tablelands, from Kempsey on the north coast north. It's very, very dry already. There's a lot of fuel in the areas that didn't burn. One of the big concerns is the population centres in New South Wales that didn't burn during Black Summer. So Newcastle, Lower Hunter, Central Coast, Sydney suburbs and Wollongong. Lots of fuel out there. I'm a volunteer firefighter in the northern suburbs of Sydney, and huge concerns because we haven't been able to do hazard reduction burns. It's just been too wet. So we'll be watching that really carefully.
Yeah, well, just on that, I was at the RFS headquarters yesterday in New South Wales just doing some training ahead of this season that's coming up. And they were telling me that, yes, they are behind in hazard reduction burns. And it just seems like the window to do hazard reduction burns just gets smaller and smaller every single year. Is that a thing we're seeing in other states as well, that we are behind in hazard reduction?
Yes, we're being squeezed at two ends. It's and this is an impact of climate change that scientists have identified over decades. The fire seasons are becoming longer. So I said before, we're having fires in northern New South Wales now. It's August. In previous years, the bushfire danger period didn't really kick off till October. So the independent bushfire inquiry in New South Wales found that the fire seasons are months longer now. The Royal Commission found this. And the conditions suitable for burning are just being squeezed. It's either too wet or too hot and windy, and it's too dangerous to burn. So it's very, very difficult to get those burns done. Where I am, it'll be dry for a week and then we'll get maybe 5 millimetres of rain, and that just stops you burning for another 2 weeks because it's too wet. So very frustrating, very worrying.
Yeah, you've got the grass fires potentially across much of the Northern Territory, but the report really singled out Queensland, saying that bushfires are expected to be, quote, destructive across parts of Queensland this spring. So is that going to continue into summer as well?
Well, what we saw in Queensland in June, there were properties lost in the Darling Downs. So they had extreme fire weather in June, which is almost unheard of. But again, Queensland in previous decades wasn't really seen as a bushfire state. The main hazard there was cyclone. But in recent years, they're now getting longer and longer fire seasons. 2018, a very severe fire season, followed by massive floods in Townsville, but consecutive disasters. But then the Black Summer, they lost more homes than they've ever lost before. So we're seeing all of those areas of woodland and grassland in Western Queensland where we've had floods. There's lots of growth and lots of potential, and there are fires there now.
Well, Greg, we really appreciate your expertise on this. Thanks for coming on the program. Greg Mullins there.
Thank you.